Okay, Philip, go ahead.
All right, so I'm kind of branching out a little bit here. Last time I did kind of something similar in kind of a time and space aspect of it. Although I'll dip into a little bit of that at the beginning here. I'm kind of more excited about getting into specific interfaces, definitely in the 3D realm, and seeing kind of what's out there and what might be coming up. So, if everybody can see this, this is the presentation. It's called Interface, and it is in anaglyph stereoscopic format here, so you should get a nice little 3D effect if you're wearing your red and blue glasses. So the narrative goes something like this. The developer is an architect for a platform stack to work with. The architect, happy to oblige, asked the developer to lay out the desired criteria.
Hey, Philip, your screen's not changing.
How about now?
Just still to see the interface slide.
Let me refresh Hangout.
Might stop sharing and reshare.
Okay, let me try that.
I had something briefly. Right as the end of it, yeah.
How about now?
Yeah, so far, yep.
How about now?
Yep.
Okay. The developer asks the architect for a platform stack to work with. The architect, happy to oblige, asks the developer to lay out the desired criteria. The developer criteria should be robust and scalable. It should support a multitude of languages, maybe endless, and should have zero downtime. The architect, skilled and adept at the craft, delivers.
Did we lose you, Philip?
Yep. Can you see some...
Nope. Always see the architect skill and adapt. Oh, there we go.
I see the universe.
Our universe. Yeah. Yeah.
Should see a nice little galaxy here.
Yep.
Some nebula. Pretty awesome shot of Saturn here. Pretty crazy shot of the sun.
That's not spinning model.
And where we are, here's our platform, the Earth. Whoa, says the developer. You do all this just for me? Oh, not just for you, answers the architect. It's a shared environment. You'll have to run some queries to get the current list of users. Current? Responds the developer, puzzled. But you just set up the stack. Not really. I've been playing around with this stack for a while. I just gave you access. There's my access granted. There's a whole lot here. I'm not sure where to begin, the developer says in bewilderment. Is there a developer kit or some tools I can work with? Certainly, says the architect. Here's some tools to get you started. Developer toolkit. Sentience in a meat suit. You have eyes, query light, perceive surroundings, perceive surrounding objects, compute depth, interpret color. We have ears, catch vibrations, read wavelengths, parse sound. We have a nose, test air particles for their contents. We have a tongue, analyze and compartmentalize an object's surface content. We have a body, assess an object's texture, temperature, and weight. And we have a brain. It's our local server. Runs complex algorithms allowing for collected data interpretation. This is amazing, the developer exclaims. Is there some example code I can look at to get started? Well, the architect answers, the point of this stack is for you to figure that out for yourself. But here, try running this. Awareness.exe. So the platform, and you can all let your eyes relax. This part's not eye straining. We have time as a makeup of part of our universal platform. It's something measurable. We can apply calculated logic and make predictions with it. Modern humans have only been around for about 200,000 years, a very small fraction of the 14 billion years existence of the universe. Only in the last 70 years, humans have been able to establish right access to non-Earth user groups. And what I mean by that is we've actually been able to get off this planet. We've been able to touch down on the moon. We've been able to send probes into Jupiter. We've been able to land probes on Titan, one of Saturn's moons. We've been able to land on a probe on Venus, and very recently we've been able to land a small probe on a comet. That's pretty amazing.
I think the landing on the moon thing is probably just a simulation, though.
Probably. We're getting good enough now where we can fake all that. Within the next 2,000 years, it's very likely that humans will become a type 1 species according to the Kardashev scale. And that scale is a scale that has 3 specific types, type 1, type 2, and type 3. Type 1 is a civilization's ability to harness the entirety of the planet's energy sources. So right now we're currently using up more resources than we are making use of. So it's very likely that in the next 200 years we'll be able to fully utilize things like geothermal energy sources, wind, and solar. And our sun is half done burning up right now. We'll need a support staff contract for another 1.75 to 3.25 billion years to support this planet. In about 4 billion years, the Milky Way will collide with Andromeda, our closest galactic neighbor. And it won't actually collide so much. There's so much space in between all the stars in both galaxies that they'll just perform a beautiful dance for billions of years, suns circling each other, and eventually coming into one galaxy all by itself.
They're doing a pull request first.
I think they're currently merging their commits as we speak.
It's just very slow.
Very slow. Space, scaled massively. The universe as we know it is about 99 point a whole bunch of other 9% empty space. Our closest interstellar neighbor is Alpha Centauri. It's actually 3 stars in a binary. It's potentially a trinary star system. It's 4.23 light years away. We don't have anything in human existence so far that will give us the ability to reach it in our lifetime. We're currently limited by the speed of light, and we don't have anything that's even come close to getting to the speed of light yet. The farthest object that we have out there is Voyager 1, which was set off in the 70s. It has reached out into the heliosphere of our solar system, which is well on out past anything that we're currently able to see within the solar system. It hasn't even traveled a single light year yet. It's only gone less than 1% of a light year. Our Milky Way galaxy is about 100,000 light years in diameter, and it's containing about 200 to 400 billion stars. That's pretty interesting. And the chances of life in that are about 1 in 5 from recent estimations. So that's a 1 in 5% chance of all the stars out there have habitable planets on them. And we've discovered more habitable planets in the last 2 years than we have in all of our time viewing the skies in all of history. Even without faster-than-light capabilities, humans could still colonize the galaxy in roughly 5 to 50 million years. It's a pretty interesting range there that they're giving for their estimates, but all the same, if our sun isn't due to burn up and our Earth is able to support life for at least another billion years, we'll still be around, assuming we can keep ourselves alive that long. Interface. Humans have been having a pretty solid go at interfacing with their world, pushing the boundaries of the physical. We continue to extend our reach into the solar system and out past. We've built ourselves a mighty data network in which has massively increased our ability to interface with one another. We continue to form a deeper understanding of the universe at large and how to work with it in order to enhance our lives. So a bit on interfaces. Historically, and in regards to computers specifically, until recently, our digital interfaces have lived mainly inside computational boxes. The interfaces usually had a steep learning curve to both input data and get a response that meant anything. You had to be a pretty solid programmer in order to understand or even desire to really be on a computer. The digital realm didn't concern everyday citizens of Earth very much. Connection. Today, we carry around small computers in our pockets. Our phones, in quotes, now contain more computational power than all of NASA had when we went to the moon, or at least the time when we put together a very elaborate hoax pretending that we went to the moon. Because of the internet, access to information you want is literally at the tip of our fingers. Staying connected to anyone, anywhere has never been easier. But what if we could layer this new digital world on top of our everyday lives? And this is a hint, you can put your glasses back on for a minute. The anaglyph. It optically separates the image going to each eye, providing the 3D effect. So essentially, what we're doing with these red and green glasses is we're filtering out red on one side, and we're filtering out anything blue coming into the left eye, and that provides a sense of depth. It's a cheap and easy way to demonstrate the three-dimensional effect. Obviously, it's pretty cheap. It's pretty easy to get your hands on these glasses. They've been around since the middle of last century. It's nothing new, but it is pretty effective, as you can see. You do definitely get a sense of depth with this method. And the reason why red and green is, or red and blue has been chosen is they're kind of opposite each other on the color wheel. There are some other colors. Sometimes red and green are used, but red and blue are definitely the most commonly used for anaglyph. And if you search online for anaglyph and just hit image search, you'll get a ton of them. It hurts your brain after a while, so it's probably not very effective for a forward-thinking technology, but it is definitely fun on a prototype scale where you can get a 3D viewing experience pretty cheaply. Here are some anaglyphs that I've made. Some of them more cool looking than others. This is my wife's bike back in Carlsbad. I'm not currently in Carlsbad. I'm actually over in South Carolina currently. That's why I say over in Carlsbad. Here is a picture I took of a small little biplane at the Transportation Museum up in Maine recently. This is the hood ornament of a car. This one's pretty fun. These are my mail keys. This is a lamp hanging in my living room. A plant. Obviously, I had a lot of fun taking these of random objects in my house. Another one from the Transportation Museum. A knife sharpener. And a really interesting mushroom I saw camping over the last couple of weeks. So those are anaglyphs. I put these together. I was looking up how to do a Photoshop tutorial for them, but in the end, it's so much easier to just download an app, which I was able to find. I used an app for my iPhone called 3D Camera, and there is a companion app for it for the iPad called 3D. Create both anaglyphs and stereograms. Stereograms you can actually keep on your phone and use with Google Cardboard and get some really cool effects. So if you're looking to play around with some 3D, recommend those apps. I attempted to make these in Photoshop, but it's way more of a process than it's worth doing. The app is all you really need to make these, and it's a lot more fun and intuitive to use than trying to go through a complex steps of Photoshop actions to get something that looks half-baked anyways. So let's talk about some other VR, some 3D and virtual reality. Google Cardboard. If you have a decent-sized phone, this is a fun and cheap entry into the VR realm. I paid $15 or so for the Google Cardboard setup. Came in the mail, a little flat piece of cardboard that you fold up. It's almost something that you could make yourself if it wasn't for the lenses. So really, I think you're paying for the lenses more than anything else. But the shell is pretty simple, although it provides a pretty great experience. The app itself is a pretty good demonstration of what's possible. Complemented with a phone's gyroscope, you're able to look around, and the virtual environment responds to your movement. And in the actual Google Cardboard demo, the neatest part of it is that when you put it on your face and you're looking around in their environments, it responds to your movements. When you turn your head, the environment shifts around you. So when you're going on their little virtual hikes, through Paris and different environments. It's pretty cool to be able to see that change around you just by turning your head. So that's a whole layer of interactivity put on top of a very, very cheap piece of hardware that very much complements something that we all carry around in our pockets most of the time anyways. At Google I/O this year, they introduced Jump. It's a rig for 16 GoPros to build these virtual tours with. The technology is pretty cool looking. I mean, it's pretty simple. If you have 16 GoPros sitting around, this would probably complement it pretty well, and allow you to continue your VR experience. I only have 2 GoPros. Something that I'd like to attempt with them in the future is just putting together a video, 3D video. You know, I don't have 16 GoPros, so I won't. I probably won't ever. So I don't know if I'd be able to get into this jump thing, but it's pretty cool, and the implications for it is in education, especially. They were talking about in Google I/O are pretty cool. You know, you can build virtual field trips for students, and you know, as long as schools are funding devices like iPads and phones or small tablets and such, it's, you know, a small bit of extra money to shell out the $20 for per student for a set of Google cardboard rigs. So combine that with all the cool stuff you can do with the Jump rig. It's pretty sweet bit of educational interactivity that you're able to provide for students at the very least. And there's several fun games that you can download from the various app stores for your phone. I've got a couple ones. One of them that's very fun is you're flying around through the human brain and aiming at viruses or whatever, you know, intruders flying around your synapses, and you're basically just looking at whatever they are, and it hones in on them and fires. So it's a pretty cool set of pretty cool virtual reality setup there, and pretty cheap too. So, you know, the whole Google Cardboard thing, definitely very cheap and easy entry point into the VR world. And here's what you look like with it on your face.
The gog.
In order to create a practical interface that everyone wants to use, it needs to be intuitive. Too soon, but a good idea, Google Glass. I think since they've now abandoned development, at least for the time being, some of the shortcomings I saw was not as intuitive as it should have been. Jeff had a pair when I was visiting the office last year and got to play around with it, and it wasn't immediately understood exactly how to navigate around or what was possible with it. There's nothing incredibly useful about it, and there really was never any great apps other than maybe controlling the video and picture taking capability just by saying, okay, Google, take a picture or whatever. Maybe the one good one was the Wink app that would take a picture, but even still, there's nothing that really enhanced our lives with it. It wasn't very immersive. I didn't care for the floating screen at the edge of my vision. And I didn't really care. To me, it didn't seem like the amount of time that it seemed like people were wearing it justified the use for it. You know, if you're going to have it on your face, it should be doing something all the time. It's like our phones. If we're looking at our phones, we're actually doing something on them, but otherwise they're in our pockets. They're out of the way. That's what it looked like. Pinch. It's a pretty cool concept. It's pretty much a heads-up display for a style interface for your phone. Tracks your head motion, tracks your hands. It comes with these little VR fingertip things that you put on both hands, and you can basically it basically turns your entire field of view. It's kind of like Google Cardboard in its case, but you're actually navigating around various apps through your phone. From what I can tell from videos online, I haven't actually played with this, but it has a very small learning curve, a potential to be very useful and fun, and relatively cheap. The price points I've seen online is $100, and basically it's just like a Google Cardboard style case that you put your phone into, and a couple of things that you put on the tips of your fingers, and you basically navigate around by using your head to view the interface of your phone kind of sprawled out in your vision, turn to bring different things into focus, and then you reach up. You can see your fingertips as cursors in your field of view, and then when you pinch, it's essentially just like clicking. The demos look really cool. I'm excited to see how this technology progresses and if it's worth dropping the $100 at some point. This is just a quick screen grab. It doesn't even do justice of what the potential of this is. But essentially, you would have YouTube there in the middle, and it's certainly difficult to tell with this particular screenshot. I just grabbed it from their site real quickly. But certainly go check out the videos if you've not seen them before. HoloLens. I'm pretty excited about HoloLens. It's a Microsoft product, and it's probably the first Microsoft product that I've actually been excited about for a while. I just pulled a couple of quotes straight from the HoloLens site. Microsoft HoloLens is the first fully untethered see-through holographic computer, and that's a pretty good description of what I think a good virtual reality interface should be. It should provide provides a mix of provides what they call a mixed reality, which essentially to me is a 3D augmented reality. So essentially we're using our phone's camera or a camera built into the HoloLens because it's a computer unto itself. Takes your surroundings, pulls them through so that you can see them, and then basically layers on the 3D stuff right on top. It's intuitive, and it looks, from the demos that I've seen, you navigate by your voice and your hand motion, so you can give specific commands by your voice and control things with your hands. And this picture kind of demonstrates some of the videos that I've seen. Woman here playing with a globe, and the videos. I mean, I couldn't capture enough screenshots that would do the videos justice. So I certainly recommend checking out the videos. I know that a lot of us have already. We share a lot of that in our UX chat room. But really cool potential. Some of the cool videos I've seen is the Minecraft demonstration where a guy is basically playing Minecraft, controlling his character with just his voice, and watching other characters move around, and his view of it is actually on a table, so the table builds out the view of Minecraft and builds out the world. He's able to reach in and pull the world around, lift up the whole city and view what's underneath. Looks really cool. Other cool potentials for this is the ability to holographically display TVs on the wall, so you can just have a TV follow you around as you're pacing around the house. I would probably use something like this more often. When I'm in meetings and things like that, I'm a pacer. I pace around my apartment and office quite a bit. I find it helps me think, and if I could be in motion while doing my job, I probably would. And so if this could help bridge that gap for me, I'd certainly consider investing the money into it.
Plus, you could turn your kitchen table into a conference table with all the people sitting around it.
Exactly. That's a very good potential for really making an immersive experience for people who work from all over the place. We have these conferences like we've got right now, and this is pretty good, where we have everybody together in front of a display, but yeah, we can sit down at our kitchen table and holographically see everybody who's in attendance, and when we're looking at them, it will actually show that we're looking at them instead of, some weird corner of the screen or, elsewhere. So I think HoloLens has pretty cool potential. I was looking up dates for release. It doesn't look like we're going to have even developer access for it until sometime next year, and probably not even a consumer product on the market until 2020. So we'll patiently wait, and I'll sit here on my average computer until then. I got to give some shout out to some non-VR interfaces, because I like what they're doing in some regards, but it certainly isn't the virtual reality part of this talk. So the watches, Apple, etc., and I have to say etc. because I don't know what other ones are, and really it's been Apple who's been making all the fuss about watches these days. So it's a discrete technology, and it's great for at-a-glance type features, and it's out of the way when you want it to be. So, when you're not looking at it, it's just this thing on your wrist. You don't have to pay attention to it, unless it's constantly buzzing you for every Twitter update or Facebook update or anything that you have it to notify you about. But it's great for people who just want that quick, 2-second bit of information at a glance. And again, like our phones, it's kind of out of the way when you want it to be. And it's got huge benefits for tracking the stats of our primary interface, which is our body. The medical industry is currently looking into Apple's API for it, at least for the Apple Watch anyways. Already does things like tracks your heart rate, and Health Nuts certainly are going crazy over it for the potential to get all sorts of statistics about their body. And I think technologies like this are only going to get better and better. There's a lot of stuff that I've read about people willing to enhance themselves in all sorts of ways by wearables in order to, really fine-tune their bodies and know exactly what's going on. And I think anything that you're wearing on your body that's integrated into all the technological infrastructures we have out there today will provide the ability to do that. Health can only get better and better because of technologies like watches. Other kind of interesting technologies out there: rings, armbands, and motion trackers. There's it's basically called Ring. It's a gesture control sort of thing, and I haven't looked too much into it, but basically kind of tracks gestures that you're doing with your hand to perform different things on your phone or computer. The Mayo, how do you say it? Mayo? I know Jeff's got one. It's an armband, tracks your muscle movement, does some pretty cool stuff, and it basically tracks gestures. I know that it's got a set of preset package of gestures, I guess that you can program to do. Leap Motion came out several years ago, I think 2012. And it's essentially the same thing, but it was originally for the Mac, but I know that it works on PCs now too. And that basically, it's a little device you set on your desk and tracks your motion, allows you to do things on your computer. And I was doing some research ahead of this talk, and looks like Leap Motion has some good potential to integrate into VR now as well. It even looks like there's some stuff that you can do with Google Cardboard as well, like mounting the Leap Motion on the front of the Google Cardboard to track hand motions in certain applications. So I thought that was pretty neat. But all of those kind of go hand in hand with being able to control computational things based on the gestures that you're giving it, body movements. Again, we want our interfaces to be intuitive, and so I think there's not much more intuitive than snapping your fingers to perform certain actions, or raising your hand to change the slide, or whatever it is that you can think to make an interface more intuitive. There's a gesture that we can look for and map to that with these particular technologies.
Yeah, I know they sell a clip for the Oculus, and John has one.
Ooh, John's got an Oculus, huh?
I have a Leap.
Oh, you have a Leap.
I have an Oculus.
Not the second dev model for the Oculus. I don't think they have a production model yet.
Yeah, I know. And I was going to put that in this talk, but I opted not to because it's not really... I mean, it's certainly virtual reality, but it's not an interface of sorts. It's certainly geared towards gaming right now, and I don't think that there's enough out there about it for practical consumer reasons. The HoloLens, in my opinion, is something that aims more towards pulling off, bringing everyday things in our lives and layering over digital, layering our digital world on top of that.
Well, I disagree. Well, the augmented reality is one thing, but VR, it's the same class as Google Cardboard, the Oculus, and a few other companies have one. They are typically geared towards games, but you could easily, in fact, I know there's some, a lot of like virtual classroom setups that are set to work with that.
Yes.
I saw the movie Hackers. Operations use it to access files.
Yes, very true, and essentially, the Oculus is a very high-tech and obviously more performant version of Google Cardboard. I guess if we're just talking about price point and point of entry into the VR world, it's Google Cardboard on one side and it's Oculus Rift on the other.
Yeah, and they're releasing the commercial thing, I think, beginning of next year. But I think it's only at least the dev kit was only $300. Probably the commercial will be $299 or something. Doesn't really seem that out of reach when you consider our phones cost $600. That's
actually very true, and I actually did not look up the price point on the Oculus Rift. So I'm actually surprised that it's only $300. So that's something I'll certainly be looking into. And I don't know if anybody knows anything about any developer kits or what they're doing with it these days, and what might potentially come out with the developer kit for it. But that's certainly another technology to look into.
And there's Web VR, if you haven't heard of that also. Firefox Nightly is already implementing Web VR that works with Oculus. So you can use the WebGL to render 3D and view your virtual classroom or other online 3D VR using the Web VR.
Awesome. That's pretty cool. I haven't looked into that. So, bridge to the future. I attended the Event Apart. I attended Event Apart in San Francisco last November, and there was a talk in there called Mind the Gap by Josh Clark. And essentially what he talks about there is designing the interactions to move data from one device to another. And that's a big interaction point for a lot of people, especially with in the Apple realm, where we're trying to merge, or, get everything synced and get data from, if I take a picture on one device, I don't want to have to text it to myself or email it to myself in order to get it onto another device or computer or tablet or whatever. I just want it to be there. And so his talk was a lot about the interactions and what we've got to do as designers to intuitively be able to share data from one device to another, and not just in your own data sphere, not with your own Apple ID, but from one person's device to another person's device. Bridging the gap between the physical and the digital. I remember seeing a patent a while ago from Apple about patenting the pouring motion from their phone to a tablet. So if you had something that you wanted to get onto your tablet, you would essentially hold it above your device and pour your phone's data into your tablet. Thought that was a very interesting patent, but it just goes to show you that motions that you make in your own physical life it could very well translate to a digital motion. And technology should extend my will. Oftentimes we stare at our code or something on our our computer screens and wish that we just had the ability to show somebody something or send them something if you don't have their email address, or again, staring at your phone trying to figure out how you're going to get your picture over to your computer quickly and easily. Things like AirDrop on the Mac have made that a bit easier now, and it's that bridge is slowly coming together. But we want our technology to be intuitive again, and so if we want something to be a certain way, we should intuitively know how that should happen. We should the action that we should take is simply willing it to happen, and so that's what we mean here by technology should extend my will. It's not a challenge of technology so much as it's a challenge of imagination, and so that's exactly our spot as user experience architects, is being able to creatively imagine how we can bridge that gap, how we can combine this massive digital world that we're building for ourselves and put that on our time-tested physical reality of things. So in the end, it's not going to be a matter of can we technologically pull this off. It's going to be a matter of, okay, what's the most imaginative way that we can pull this off so that it's a seamless experience for the user. It's our job as user experience specialists to continue developing ever greater technologies and design the natural interactions between them, bridging the gap between our digital realm and the platform we've so graciously been placed inside, life. So let's take a speculative jump into the middle of this century, into around the time of 2050. The average desktop computer now has the raw processing power equivalent to all of human brains on Earth combined. That is a lot of processing power. I'm pulling my some of this information from futuretimeline.net and a few other articles that I've read. They have a nice little graph on there showing the processing power that we're currently at, and by about 2025 we will reach the equivalent processing power of one human brain. And so it's a pretty steep incline to rapidly get us up to all of human brains on this Earth combined. So just within 25 years of computing, beyond that, so in 35 years from now, we will have a crazy amount of computational power.
In 2050 at 3 a.m., Skynet became self-aware.
Essentially, yes. Essentially, yes. Robots will be common feature in all homes and workplaces, and that's essentially Skynet right there. AI will be essentially that. By that time, we'll be able to take our brains and put them inside of computers, or at least dump the processing data that we've collected straight to it. And no doubt with robotics being what it is today, we can easily see where that's going robot-wise. We'll certainly have intelligent robots able to perform a lot of the features that we have to have human labor for. And there's a lot of problems that we can solve, things like caretakers and hard labor, construction. All this is perfectly suited for very smart robots. Fully synthetic humans becoming technically feasible. At that point, we'll be technologically advanced enough, especially with 3D printing and our knowledge of biology and chemistry. We'll certainly be able to fully synthesize humans. There's no doubt to me anyways that we will be able to fully replicate a human body. Whether or not we'll be able to replace our own bodies with these fully synthetic human bodies will be we won't know till then, but we know so much now and can replace so much of our bodies already with robot parts, basically.
I'm getting tank treads.
Going Johnny Five style?
Yes. My commute will be just a helmet and me.
And bring it back to the VR. We'll certainly have fully immersive VR. That'll be a mainstream phenomenon at that point. Advances in AI will have led to the Matrix-style worlds of breathtaking scale and ingenuity. And I imagine at that point we will have such advanced VR that our conference rooms will be all digital at that point. We will have worlds that we can escape our physical world from, and who knows, at that point we may be in such dire circumstances in the physical world that the VR world will probably be more desirable than our actual one. But that's a whole other topic and can of worms there. But with all this technology and knowledge at that point, we'll be able to solve a lot of our problems, or be able to take a different look at them technologically as well. So, so at that point we'll have a lot of pretty cool technological stuff going on, one of which is the interface of VR. full VR. Probably consciousness replacing VR. Will be able to go anywhere and do anything in these digital worlds. And there's so much potential out there for creative expression. In every moment, there's a chance to observe and to evaluate an interaction. And there's abundant opportunity to improve, to enrich, and to reimagine a better interface. And that's my talk.
We are all going to die. The robots are taking over. Elon Musk was right.
So, thanks. What have you to say?
Okay, recording. Any questions?
I'm glad I'll be dead.
Me too. I'm glad you'll be happy.